Scripture today is from Matthew chapter 25, verses 34 through 40. Should be some familiar words. We've already made reference to them today. I will be reading from the Common English Bible version. Then the king will say to those on his right, "Come, you who will receive good things from my Father. Inherit the kingdom that was prepared for you before the world began. I was hungry, and you gave me food to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me a drink. I was a stranger, and you welcomed me. I was naked, and you gave me clothes to wear. I was sick, and you took care of me. I was in prison, and you visited me." Then those who are righteous will reply to him, "Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you a drink? When did we see you as a stranger and welcome you, or naked and give you clothes to wear? When did we see you sick or in prison and visit you?" Then the king will reply to them, "I assure you that when you have done it for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you have done it for me." The word of God for the people of God.
Thanks be to God.
All right, now we welcome to the pulpit Kris Aves.
Thank you, Bev. First things first, those of you who have not picked up the two pieces on the back by the bulletin, could you go and get those? So you guys came in late. Also, my teenagers in the back, I think you would like to get them as well. You better hurry up. I won't start until you go get them. All right, because we're going to take a look at those. But thank you for welcoming me. I told Bev maybe to give me the hook if I'm talking too long, but I can see the clock, so life is good. When Jeff first asked me, I thought I was going to come and preach, and he said, "Well, aren't you going to talk about mission?" And I said, "Well, duh, okay," since that's one of the hats that I wear. Your pastor and I knew him before, but he and I went on the civil rights pilgrimage last April. And he and I were seatmates for part of the time. So I got to know Jeff a lot better, and he said he was going to be gone, and I was happy to come talk to you. I live in Kirkland, and I go to church in Genoa, so it's about a 45-minute drive. But it just so happens I was in Lamoille yesterday. So drove to Lamoille, and I thought, oh, this is, serendipitous. So I stopped in town, I found the church, went to the Mexican restaurant, and had some Mexican ice cream on the way out. Matter of fact, I was driving, and I cornered my eye, I saw the ice cream, and I thought, oh yeah. So I turned around and went back and got some ice cream. So Bev said I went to maybe hit the highlights. I'm not sure, but I think there's other things here that are good. Also, I knew, and I think he may have been the pastor at the other church, Mike Morrell. Did anybody meet Mike Morrell? Okay. Yeah, so I've known Mike as well for quite a long time. He was a pastor in Kirkland, and actually he and I, he's older than I am, but we kind of grew up in the same area. So got a lot of connections down here already. So I'm glad to be here. And first off, so pick up the Planning a Balanced United Methodist Journey. I'll tell you, you have speakers in and you don't know that much about them, and I thought, well, I better give you some background of who I am. I will tell you that I did bring items in the back that I want you to look at, and I really would like you to take them so I don't have to take them home. But I am a lifelong United Methodist. I grew up in the EUB church, Zion United Methodist Church in Marshall, Illinois. The reason I'm pestering the youth in the back, I was a youth leader for many years. Love the youth, especially junior high. They're my jam. And I did include a lot of the mission journeys that we took. That's kind of why I wanted you guys in the back to take a look, just to inspire you some things that might interest you to do in mission. But the hat that I'm wearing today is the United Methodist Volunteer and Mission Co-Coordinator. I also am a certified lay minister, and I do talk and preach often. I do serve in the conference for a lot of different things. But today, let's talk about mission. And I was so pleased that Bev was telling me about what you have going on, and it sounds to me like you are really committed, in particular, to give your treasure in mission. And that is pleasing to me as a mission leader to hear that you are active. Also that I saw the certificate for the mission links, and I'll talk a little bit about that. And that really pleased me a lot as well. But before we get started, and I picked kind of an odd title for myself today, and I'll tell you why in just a little bit. But our scripture today, and like a lot of the scriptures that we have read, even the Ten Commandments was the liturgy, one of the liturgy readings today. Jeff said he preaches mainly on series and not so much lectionary. Yeah. I'm more of a lectionary preacher. So the lectionary, one of them today was the Ten Commandments. And so we know from the Ten Commandments, and when Christ told his disciples, love God, love your neighbor, we know as United Methodist, love God, do no harm. What's the last one? Anybody? Do good, love God, do no harm, love God. Or love God, do no harm, do good. We also know to do whatever we can, whenever we can, wherever we can for other folks. So I don't think it's a puzzle what our marching orders are to do. I think we all hopefully understand what being a follower of Christ means. And we also know that that can be risky. It can be hard, and gets us out of our comfort zone sometimes. So that's what I love. I get really bored, and I like to get out of my comfort zone a lot. So I think that's one of the reasons why I gravitate towards mission. And so we have the what that we're needing to do, and we need to know how. And that's where I come in, I think. We know the why, we know the what, but how? And that's where mission comes in. So first of all, I would like to know who here is computer savvy. Can you raise your hand if you're a computer person? Use the computer, email? No? Raise it a little bit higher. No? Okay. Well, I'm kind of surprised with some of the younger folks. You guys don't use the computer at all?
Oh, they do.
Oh, you guys do? Come on. This is interactive. I'm not going to preach to you. This is interactive. Do you use the computer? Yes, that's what I need to know. Thank you. Okay. So that's going to be a little more helpful to me in what I have to share with you. Okay? But back to, before we get started in that vein, I have my thoughts for you in the planning of the balanced ministry, okay? I am a dreamer. I'm a list maker. I'm a planner. But I want to encourage you, and I want you to think about your dreams, your personal dreams of mission, what is on your heart? What is God nibbling at you to think about? What worries you? What in the world worries you? That's kind of where I start, the things that bother me, the things I wish were different, things I wish I could change. And also, things that are maybe too big. I couldn't do that. Okay. What would be the dream for the congregation? What do you have your dreams? Because it's not just Bev's work all the time. It's the work of the church. It's our personal work and the work of the church. So what would you dream if you could if money was not an option, any of those things were not an option, what would you love to see happen in the world? And that's where I think mission starts, or at least it starts for me. And I don't know where you're at in the process. I know some folks have been out in mission. And also, there's a move to call mission journeys. They prefer us not to call them mission trips anymore because it's not a vacation. And it's a lifelong journey. I'm still unpacking things that we learned at the Civil Rights Pilgrimage. So those are some thoughts and some things I wanted you to think about as well. Another thing, too, that I want you to think about is having a balanced attitude about mission. Oftentimes, we're really good about charity, but we overlook social justice. And that's not a talk for today, but I have given a talk on social justice. And so if you're across the street, across the world, wherever you are, think about the balance of the mission and where is the social justice in this particular mission that you're working on. And maybe that's not the focus, maybe you're just collecting food for the food pantry, but maybe ask yourself, is there something more that we could do? Why do they not have enough food? That's the social justice piece, to look at, where is the problem? And maybe you can't solve it individually, but maybe you could solve it together or get started. There's many ways that you could attack that. So those are just a few things to think about as I get into sort of the corporate part of United Methodist Volunteers in Mission. Because I wanted the kids to know there's a little confusion about mission. Whenever we leave the door and we're helping someone, that's mission. United Methodist Volunteers in Mission is an actual organized part of the church. And so I want people to have the idea that whenever you're helping someone, you are in mission. But I represent the organizational part of our conference and actually the United Methodist Church. And so pick up the second flyer that we have here. Okay. Can anybody tell me the golden rule?
Treat others the way you want to be treated.
Thank you, sir. So, has anyone seen the platinum rule? Anyone heard of that? I confess I hadn't either, but our pastor, Kim Chapman, spoke about it a couple Sundays, and I thought, this is a really good rule that nobody probably knows about, so I'm going to spread the word. The platinum rule is treating others how they want to be treated. Can you see how that's different? It takes you out of the equation. It takes your ego out of the equation. Whenever you're going in mission, you need to be humble. We're not going on a vacation. We're not folks trying to save someone. We're not folks trying to fix all the problems. We're truly going to meet the needs of the other folks. They're going to be changed. We're going to be changed. But we're there to listen, deep listening, to hear what they need. They're living a life. They're not a clean slate when we go to them. And they have dreams and things at their disposal, and they have gifts. So we're there to aid them and assist them, but we're also there to listen to what they need. And so I thought the platinum rule really kind of fit mission in general. Because a lot of times when people first go off in mission, not that you guys would do this, but we have a tendency, particularly as Americans, if you're going overseas, we want to fix everything, don't we? We want to fix it all, we want to finish it all, we want to get what's right, and we want to do it the way we know how to do it. Okay? But sometimes the people that we are going to visit, they know how to do it maybe better. They just don't have the money, or they don't have enough bodies, or they don't have enough, support, or, they can probably do it, and they can probably tell us, and we can partner with them. So when you're in mission, it's a partnership. You're going to get something out of it as well. Who's been to Midwest Mission Center? Yeah. Did you get something out of it when you went? Yeah. Did you get something out of it? Oh yeah. It changes your perspective, doesn't it? Yeah, you're changed. When you go on mission, you're changed. And some people, that's a little scary. Anybody here love change? Who loves to change? Who loves change? You love change. Well, one person loves change. I love change too. I get really bored. But I would say the average person fights change and doesn't want to be changed. Who here really likes it when someone tells them that their opinion is wrong? You might have to change some of your opinions. You might have thought you knew something about the folks that you were serving, and it turns out you were completely wrong. And you have to change. So there's some things about mission that can be hard, and I've been at it a long time. But there are so many things that are so rewarding. I cannot tell you how I've been changed. I hope that the people who know me can see that I've been changed. I hope I'm a different person. I hope I am a better person. I hope I'm a better Christ follower. So who is this, or who are these volunteers in mission? And that's what I tried to explain a little bit here, and I needed to know who is computer savvy, because I have at the bottom the website that you can go to. I talked yesterday, and I talked for half an hour, 45 minutes, and we don't have that here today. But I want to point out that those websites are part of the information for United Methodist Volunteers in Mission. I have a co-chair who is a elder. He's retired, but he lives in Carbondale. He is the person who is in charge of the Midwest Mission annual conference When you guys, did you take it off, or did you take things for it? Yeah, some supplies. So when you've given things during annual conference, some supplies like blankets or kits or those kind of things, that's what my partner organizes. And we are really part of a bigger group, Global Ministries, okay? And you may or may not know, but that is one of our agencies for the United Methodist Church. And so we're all accountable. Everybody has a boss. Even the bosses have bosses. So we are part of the Global Ministries of the church, and we are the mission arm of it. The committee that I'm on for the conference, we also do the mission links. And as I said, I see that you guys do mission links. I hope you like it. If you don't like it, you should tell me, because I'm on the committee that changed it. It used to be the old Rainbow Covenant, if that means, yeah. And we are sorry, but it is, we are moving on, and we don't like to have a lot of paper, and it is all online. I know some of us would prefer to have it in hard copy, but it is online. Yeah, you can print it off. So anyway, I'm part of that committee, and also the ERTs, the response teams whenever there's a disaster. That's part of our committee too. So I hear about those things, but my responsibility is the mission part of things. So there is a website where you can go, and it tells you everything you need to know. If you're going to take a long-term mission, like say a week or 10 days, there are forms on there, there's training on there is the insurance on there are videos that can tell you why, again, that what, that why, that where, those kind of questions can answer that. And there's also many contacts that you can use. Importantly, there is also some of our local, when I say local, I'm talking about our Northern Illinois Conference sites. And so turn to the next page on that UMVM page. And I'll talk about those in just a minute. So why is this a structural thing? Well, we have a coordinator, and I hate getting into a lot of church acronyms and that kind of thing, but I kind of have to talk about it to talk about the next piece. The Northern Illinois Conference is part of a greater north central jurisdiction. That includes Illinois, Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio, the Dakotas, Indiana, I think Iowa. Yeah. So we are part of another group of folks, and we have a director, and her name is Tammy Kuntz. And Tammy is a wonderful, wonderful resource. You can call her up, and she'll call you right back. She's not one of those people that puts you in. If you email her, I emailed her yesterday, and she responded to me this morning. So Tammy I work with quite a bit. And what Tammy does, and the reason I need to bring her up, is if there are sites in your conference that want to be included as an UMVM site, she goes to the site, she talks to the folks there, and she finds out if they should be included in our structural UMVM group. What that means is, are they who they say they are? Can they take groups? Can they take groups on a regular basis? Can they feed you? Can they house you? Can they handle groups coming in? Okay? So you can be assured if you go to one of these sites that they've been vetted. Now that doesn't mean you can't go to mission anywhere you want to go. And if you look at my sheet of the different mission trips that I've done, some of it I've done myself, some of it I've used UMVM sites. So you do not have to go to an UMVM site. However, if you're just starting out in mission, or this is something that you're interested in, you can be assured that these sites are who they say they are, and they have insurance and all that kind of thing. So I don't want to confuse you that if you have to go to one of these sites, or you have to be an UMVM to be counted. No, you can go and mission wherever you want, and the same things apply if you're going to an UMVM site in terms of how you conduct yourself in mission in general. I want to lift up, there are permanent sites for the Midwest Mission Distribution Center. Are any of these sites close to you guys? I don't think so. Yeah, that's unfortunate, but we did try to get a site in every one of our districts. If you are able to get stuff at annual conference, that's fine. But a lot of people like to.
So these are sites where we can deliver.
Permanent sites, yep.
For Midwest.
Yep,
Okay.
Permanent sites.
Yeah, we send it to annual conference, or we
Yeah.
ship it on down to Chatham.
Yeah. And the Midwest Mission Distribution Center is certainly a site. It's actually in Illinois Great Rivers Conference, but that doesn't really matter. It's a site that we all support. So those are permanent sites. If you'd like to be one, you can always contact Chantel if there's nothing close and you think churches would like to participate. That's great. On the back page are the sites in our conference that are considered UMVM sites. So again, these are places that Tammy has visited. She knows who they are. They are who they say they are, and they can take groups. They have housing and whatnot. I will be honest, the MYSI group, I don't know that much about them, or the DOOR group. They do some great work. I saw that, but I don't know, I don't have a contact there. And they're both in Chicago. But anyway, so you see some of the other places that are pretty good places to interact with in terms of mission. I'm trying to think what else that yeah. So any questions about the website to go to? I would recommend, whether you're going across the street or, again, it gives you step-by-step things to think about. Because we went to Starved Rock. My pastor stumbled and broke her foot. Okay, we didn't get that far we weren't that far away from home, but what are we gonna do? She broke her foot. You know, you could go across the street and break your foot. These aren't things that you think about when you go off on mission, but if you look at some of the resources, it will prompt you and remind you that things can happen, and not all bad things, but things can happen that you may not have thought about. And I really would recommend that you take a look at those, even if you're not going in. Because like I said, she broke her foot. What are we going to do? We're at Starved Rock. Do I even have a first aid kit in my van? So, okay. Just out of curiosity, is anyone here interested, and I'll wrap it up, interested in taking a trip? Anybody ever thought about taking a trip? I said trip, a journey, a mission journey. Anybody thought about that? Well, I will tell you, for the folks in the back, there are journeys especially for the 18 to 35-year-old group. That's on that webpage. So if you have folks who would be interested in that, they have journeys just for them. And the last thing I think I'll leave you with is virtual trips. So, anybody have Zoom meetings? Yeah, anybody Zoom? Yeah, right. So not all of us can go on these journeys. We don't have the money or the time or whatever, but there are opportunities to go across. I did too, to Nigeria and Tanzania, totally on Zoom. And we had folks on the other end. We acted like we were on a mission journey. Someone took over the food, so they did research on what kind of food that you would eat. Somebody else did research on the history and whatnot. So we took the roles of a mission journey, and we talked with the folks on the other end to find out what they needed. And it was really cool. I mean, I felt like I was in Tanzania, and I really would love to go there sometime. So I want to encourage you to think about the technology in ways that you can use that as well. If there's a place that interests you, contact them and see if they will have a Zoom opportunity for you. Oftentimes, missionaries will do Zoom, and you can hear about their work. So we don't have to think about mission always as going out in that way. We can do mission via the internet these days too, and that can be it can be very rewarding as well, because you're making connections. And these are United Methodists, United Methodists in Tanzania that I met. So, as a United Methodist church, there are connections all over the place. And so do not dream. Don't let some of those things that we oftentimes think that, I can't do that, I'm too old. My mother and I just went to Iceland, and she's 83. So you're never really too old if you have a desire to do some of these things. So maybe you can't do it like you used to do it, or maybe you can't physically go there, but you could go there via the internet or some other way like that. Any questions that you might have for me? Yes?
I have a question.
Yeah.
You're talking about volunteers in mission and mission groups that go out.
Yeah.
And, if our church were not able or didn't pull together enough people to send a mission group,
Yeah.
can you individually
Yeah.
tag along with some other group?
Thank you. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to bore you and talk too long, because I can talk about mission for a long time. Yes. That's another opportunity. I would really encourage you in particular to sign up for Tammy Kuntz's e-news. That web page, or, well, e-news, would be very, very important for you to take a look at and answer those kind of questions. Because there are trips going all over the place, and oftentimes, you know, they're happy to take groups on. Yeah, absolutely. And that is one thing that I didn't want to get into it, but that's one thing that I would hope that clusters might come together and do mission journeys together. Anything that we can do connectionally. Another thing that I will tell you, Bev, is East Ohio. Go to their conference page, go to their mission. Kathy Dickridge always is inviting people to go on mission journeys with them. Do we have any teachers in the audience? Or people who taught in the audience? No. People who like to teach kids? Well, you don't really have to, but I'm just going to point out that on the back table there's a new mission that you can teach kids in Laos how to speak English, and that's all online. All you have to know is how to say hello, my name is, that kind of thing, and they prompt you. It's a good friend of mine who I grew up with. She is a missionary in Laos, and this is a new mission that she has going. So whatever kind of talent you may have, whatever kind of desire you may have, I can tell you that there is a mission for that. You would just be so surprised. I also put on the table those of you who might be interested in a medical mission. A couple of them, you don't have to be a doctor, you don't have to be a nurse, nothing. You could go there and hand out bandages, or they have you fitting bras for people or helping to do shots. So again, whatever you think you might be dreaming of doing or God's putting on your heart, there's probably a mission for that. So, okay. Sorry I didn't preach and I just gave a talk to you this morning, but I think that fits what we're about for United Methodist Volunteers in Mission. So remember, it's a journey. Remember that there are many, many resources. I'm here for training as well, if you want training before you go out. And I would be remiss, Tammy would yell at me if I didn't tell you, make sure you have insurance. Make sure you have insurance. And make sure, if you're going in a VIM trip, make sure you register with Tammy, particularly if you go overseas. There was a group that went to Haiti. They didn't register. They didn't tell anybody. A hurricane came in and they needed to be evacuated. Nobody knew they were there. And she had to line up helicopters and all kinds of things, and she had no idea that they were there. So, be responsible when you go on mission. Make sure you have insurance. And if you have questions about not using VIM trips, but doing other kind of mission journeys, you can contact me and I can tell you, because I've done it for many, many years. So teenagers, did you look at any of those mission trips that I took? Any of them interest you in the back there? You can do mission in your context. Obviously, you're not going to run to Chicago like I did on a lot of those mission trips, but you can be creative and find lots and lots of things to do. So again, I'll be at the back. If you have questions, you want to take anything, let me know. I'll be back there. So thanks. And any questions you might have.
Thank you to Kris, kind of opening our horizons a little bit there, something we haven't thought about. I think COVID, we kind of all shut down and hunkered down, and maybe it's time now to step out and do some work outside of our own walls. So thank you, Kris.